Hello, my friends. Today I'm going to show you how to sew a little pouch. So, first we need a pair of scissors. We need a needle, a nice long strip of fabric or felt, some thread, and a button. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to thread the needle. So hold your spool in your hand and you're going to measure it up to your shoulder. And then give it a little snip. These are my very fancy sewing scissors and they're very, very sharp. So I have to be very, very careful. So whatever scissors you use to cut your thread, be very, very careful. Next, I'm going to thread my needle. So I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to push it through the eye of the needle. Let's try that one more time. I don't think I can do it so far away from myself. There. And then pull through. And just a little bit, my friends, because again, we're going to practice when we pull the needle through the fabric, we're going to hold on to the eye of the needle so that the thread doesn't slip out. So next I'm going to tie how many knots? 3 knots in the end of my thread. So there's 1. And 2, and 3. Very nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my button just here on the close to the end of what will become a little pouch. So I'm going to go up through the felt or fabric, through a buttonhole, and then I'm going to cross diagonally to a different buttonhole, to the opposite buttonhole. What happened? I didn't hold on to my thread, did I? Oh my goodness. So now we have to re-thread the needle. Now back up through the same hole that we went up the very first time. And sometimes you have to poke around a few times to feel it. See? And then up to the ceiling. But look, I'm going to hold on to my thread. And then back through the other hole. If your button has 2 holes, then you can stop here. My button has 4 holes, and so I'm going to do the other holes now. So up through a hole, hold on to your thread, and then down through the opposite hole. And hold on to your thread. Up we go. And really, you can do this as many times as you like, but at least 3 or 4 times in each hole is the best idea. That will hold your button onto your little pouch securely. There. So my button stays on nicely. It's nice and strong. Now to tie off my button, I'm going to go under my stitches 3 times. So slide your needle right underneath of the stitch 3 times. 1, hold on to your thread. 2, and 3. Good. then we're always going to leave a little tail. So snip with a little tail. See my little tail? Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie 3 more knots in the end of the thread. 2, and one more time. All right, so then you're going to fold the button up like this. We're going to sew along this edge, and we're going to sew along this edge, and then this will be the little flap that folds over with a buttonhole in it so that you can close your pouch. There. So I'm all ready, and I am going to go, I'm going to start from this end. I'm going to do the running stitch. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. Hold on to your thread. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. So boys and girls, make sure that you're going through both pieces of fabric. See? Up to the ceiling in a nice line along the edge. Very nice. And the closer your stitches are together, the smaller the object that you can put in your purse can be, or your pouch or your pocket. There, and now I'm at the top corner of where I folded my pouch. So again, I'm going to go under my last stitch. How many times? 3 times. 1, hold on to your thread. 2, and 3. And to make this so that it's sort of invisible and I can't see my tail when I'm finished, I'm going to very carefully put my needle in between both pieces of felt. And so it's going to come out through the middle right there. See? So it's hiding in behind my stitches. And then when I pull, I can cut really close to the side of my pouch so that you can't see it. It's invisible. You can still see the tail on the end, but that's okay. I don't mind. All right, now we're going to sew up the other side. So 3 more knots in the end. 1, 2, and 1 more time. 3 knots. Good. Then, starting at the bottom again, make sure that your edges are lined up really nicely. And we're going to go up to the ceiling. Hold on to your thread. I didn't hold on to my thread. And so I have to thread my needle again. Hold on to your thread. And sometimes threading your needle can take a little bit of time, and so it takes that much longer to complete your project if you forget to hold on to your thread. There. I'll remember this time. Okay. Up to the ceiling and let's try that again. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. Hold on to your thread. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. And again, make sure that your needle is going in both the top and bottom pieces of felt or fabric. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. Up to the ceiling, almost there. And down to the floor. And one more stitch should do it. Up to the ceiling. And down to the floor. And again, I'm going to tie it off by going in that last stitch 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then the needle will go in between the 2 pieces of fabric and it'll pop out in the middle there somewhere so I can cut it off and leave an invisible tail. There. So I'm all finished with my needle and thread. What should I do with this? It'll go in the garbage. And my needle, I'm actually going to put back. I have a lovely sewing box here. And so my needle goes in the little needle holder right here at the top so that it's never lost. What would happen if I left this laying around on the table? Something, it could get pushed off the table and we may never see it again until someone steps on it, and that would be dreadful. All right, my friends, so this is what your little pouch should look like. Our last job is to fold it over and to feel where the button is. I can feel it there, and I'm going to make just a little snip. Like that. Just a tiny little hole, just big enough for your button. See? All right, and then fold it over. And your button goes through the little buttonhole. There. And there you have it. A lovely little pouch, perfect for keeping special pebbles or stones. All right, thank you, my friends. See you next time.